Welcome to That's Good Sports. I am NFL expert and Game of Thrones enthusiast Brandon Perna. Today, I wanted to do something different. No, not try and make a good show. Sorry, I want to build the perfect Game of Thrones quarterback. If you've paid close attention to the NFL, then I'm sure you've seen this shtick in the offseason when football shows have nothing to talk about and borrow body parts from NFL quarterbacks to make the ultimate perfect QB. It's always some bullshit like, I'd take Peyton Manning's brain, Michael Vick's legs, Dan Marino's arm, John Elway's heart, Mark Sanchez's perfect distribution of chest hair, Jameis Winston's pot belly, Sam Bradford's ability to make ridiculous amounts of money without ever winning, Brady Quinn's jawline, that growth on AJ McCarron's right side, and Tom Brady's undersized penis, so the QB always has something to prove. Boom, I created the perfect QB. It's the dumbest shit. It's so dumb, but we eat it up because we crave football all the time. Okay, let's build the perfect Game of Thrones quarterback. When building the perfect quarterback, you have to identify the special attributes that make Hall of Fame QBs. We need a brain, we need vision, build, a heart, arm, legs, footwork, and a set of balls that would make even the late Robert Baratheon proud. Translating those football characteristics to Game of Thrones characters has taken me years, decades of research, but this is what I have concluded, and anybody else who tries to say any different is a dick. This would be the best athlete in Westeros. FYI, there will be spoilers. Build. I'm going to start with the overall physique, build, height of the perfect QB. Looking at NFL history, you'll notice guys like Jim Kelly, John Elway, Dan Marino, Tom Brady, Andrew Luck, Roger Staubach are all 6'3" or 6'4", and maybe outside of Tom Brady, they all have a similar build. So that's why I'm going with Brienne of Tarth's build as the perfect template to translate to the NFL. She's 6'3", athletic, and also has more loyalty than anyone else in the show. That is a great QB body. Maybe the only QB body I would actually want to see naked. Brain. Moving on to the brain. The head was tough. I had three candidates. Samuel Tarly, arguably the most well-read man on the show, highly intelligent, but he lacks courage. Then I thought Tyrion Lannister, also very smart, witty, but his drinking problem would be an issue, so I turned to his father, Tywin Lannister. He was always one step ahead of his opponents, which is key for a quarterback. I mean, to quote him directly, it's the family name that lives on. It's all that lives on. Not your personal glory, not your honor, but family. Just replace the word family with team, and he's got the perfect QB mentality. I mean, his name is Tywin. The last three letters spell win. I guess the first two letters spell tie, but that motherfucker would never settle for a tie. Tywin would be great at getting in the heads of defensive players. Take this Tywin quote and apply it to a pass rusher. I don't know, say Jason Pierre-Paul, for example. A one-handed man with no family needs all the help he can get. And can you imagine him in a press conference? Excuse me, Tywin, what do you think about those saying you've lost a step? A lion doesn't concern himself with the opinion of sheep. That's your QB head. Moving on to heart. A lot of you may be thinking, this has to be Jon Snow, right? When you think of heart, you think of QBs not giving up when their team is down and leading fourth quarter comebacks. Jon Snow may have had the biggest fourth quarter comeback in the history of Game of Thrones when he came back from the fucking dead. He's a leader. But if we're going to be honest here, do an honest evaluation, he's only good at leading about half the people in the room. The other half typically want to kill the poor bastard, including his girlfriend. Usually, NFL players are the abusive ones in relationships. Jon Snow, not NFL material. So instead, I chose very wisely, Daenerys fucking Targaryen. Daenerys Stormborn, mother of dragons, breaker of chains, and giver of boners, to be the heart and soul of my team. I mean, she can lead both men and dragons. She says cool shit like, The next time you raise your hand to me will be the last time you have hands. Talk about having command of a huddle. She led the Dothraki, liberated Slaver's Bay, and pretended to not notice when they switched the actor for Daario Naharis. But not only does she have heart, she's fucking eaten an entire stallion heart while pregnant and then birthed dragons and fire. Do you think the 2-minute drill is going to phase her in a Super Bowl? Fuck no. God, I'd love to have the 2-minute drill with her. I'm sorry it only lasted a minute, Daenerys. You're too beautiful. Vision. Vision is very important for a quarterback. You want a guy who can see the whole field, know how the safeties, corners, and linebackers are going to drop into coverage pre-snap. Now, he may not be able to walk, but using Bran Stark's vision was the easiest choice in this process. Why read a defense when you could simply warg into their mind and see exactly what they see? Pass rusher about to sack you? Warg into his mind. Avoid the sack. Corner going to blitz? Bran already knows because he warged into his mind. What's that? Is a raven flying over the stadium? Bran already warged into his mind and got a literal bird's eye view of the defense. If he played for the Baltimore Ravens, it would be considered cheating since every helmet has Raven's eyes on it. Moving our way down to the lower half of the body, the feet and legs. I debated for hours, maybe days, whether the feet should be that of the nimble Oberyn Martell, aka the Red Viper, or Syrio Farrell. You have to say Syrio Farrell. Not to be confused with Pharrell, who would have been killed in the first 5 seconds of Game of Thrones, because he's just way too fucking nice. So I'm giving the perfect QB the legs of Oberyn and the feet of Syrio, the first sword of Braavos. Athletically, Oberyn has been the most gifted player in the Game of Thrones series. His fight with the Mountain was an Olympic-like demonstration of his speed, coordination, and agility. It was basically an elite-level combine performance that ended horrifically. That type of skill would put Mike Vick, Randall Cunningham, and Steve Young to shame. But speed and footwork are two different things. That's why Syrio gets his feet cut off and placed on my fake QB. In addition to knowing exactly how to move his feet, Syrio already knows how to communicate with NFL receivers.
Tomorrow you will catch it.
Which is exactly what Brandon Marshall's quarterbacks have to tell him every other game. He has a high percentage of drops, okay? Forget the fact that Syrio looks like a pedophile in this photo. He's totally not. In fact, he may be one of the best swordsmen in the entire show. Is he alive? Is he dead? Is he Jagan Hagar? Who the fuck knows? His footwork, however, is impeccable, making him the perfect man to shuffle around the pocket, avoiding sacks, pressure, and never being out of position to make the perfect throw. And remember, only a true badass refers to sword fighting as dancing.
You're dancing, master. Syrio Forel.
That's a fucking man. Arm. One of the most essential skills a great quarterback must possess is arm talent, the ability to throw the football anywhere on the field. Some of the best NFL arms ever have been John Elway, Aaron Rodgers, and Dan Marino. Physically speaking, Mike Glennon has the nicest looking arms, but in the Game of Thrones world, men who throw well are hard to find. I thought about using Ygritte's arm since she's so accurate with her bow and arrow. But we know redheads make for average quarterbacks at best in the NFL. So I'm stealing Daario Naharis' arm for my NFL QB. Mainly because he's the only guy I remember making a deadly clutch throw in the series. Arm strength is a bit overrated, but accuracy is not. With throws like that, Daario could split the defense, throw through a tight window, hit the anus on a mosquito, whatever cliche you want, he crushes them all. Not to mention, like most NFL QBs, he bangs the hottest woman in the city. Balls. Finally, and maybe most importantly, we'll address the balls. Never neglect the importance of the balls. Podrick Payne's balls, while physically perfect according to the whores of King's Landing, aren't what I'm looking for. I need metaphorical balls, the kind Roger Goodell has. In Game of Thrones, there's one character who has bigger metaphorical balls than anyone, and that's Arya Stark. Balls, metaphorically synonymous with confidence. She's a little girl who's traveled somewhat safely all over Westeros and Essos, befriended the Hound, and has had 10 kills under her piece of rope she calls a belt. Most done with needle, a sword shorter than Littlefinger's dick, or shorter than Davos Seaworth's fingers for those of you tired of penis jokes. She's the most courageous character in the show. What does she say to the god of death?
Not today.
Not today. She keeps a list of people to kill and regards bruises as a lesson, saying each lesson makes us better. She embraces fear and uses it to survive. So the final touch here are Arya's metaphorical balls. So we'll just use her face. Metaphorically, we just had to put her face as the balls. So there you have it. Our bastard-looking QB who would dominate in the NFL or even Canadian Football League if he chose to play north of the wall. Yes, That's Good Sports is on Patreon. Look, I need your monthly support. I've tried to work for ESPN, NFL Network, the Denver Broncos, NBC Sports, CBS Sports. I've reached out to even Barstool Sports, the place that is as immature as I fucking am. They all don't call me back. So I decided, fuck it, I'm gonna build my own media empire. But I can't do it without your help. A monthly donation, just like you would subscribe to Hulu or Netflix or whatever. And together, we can rise to the fucking top and take no shit from nobody, and not a goddamn person can tell me what the fuck I should or shouldn't say. Thanks for watching another episode of That's Good Sports. Make sure you subscribe here. Give me a follow on Twitter at Brandon Perna, Instagram at Brandon Perna. A lot of air guitarists get the recognition, but the true air players are trumpeteers. This is Game of Thrones.